Hi, my name's Orianna, and I'm the CEO and founder at Aquacycl, and welcome to Wastewater Wednesday. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges associated with all the different strategies that you have available to you. We're going to look at pros and cons associated with hauling, with aerobic technologies, and with conventional anaerobic digestion, and how you can utilize these things to manage your industrial wastewater. First off, hauling. This may be required for your facility if you are not allowed to tie to utility for treatment, or if you are experiencing very high utility surcharges associated with sending your wastewater into the sewer system. If you are a large producer in a small city, often the load that you're going to be discharging could be disruptive to utility function. Hauling could be your first option. Now, the risk to the business with hauling is that you are responsible for your material until it actually makes its endpoint. So from the time it's loaded up onto the truck at your site, from the time distance traveled to its final destination for disposal or treatment, you have to take on all of that risk. And so if there's an accident, if there's a timeline delay, all of those things that add up to reputational risk for your business if there is something that goes wrong in that process. In addition, hauling can be pretty expensive depending on the geographies that you're operating in and the type of wastewater that you're having to dispose of. So pros and cons there. It could be a quick and easy solution to handle an immediate need, but it can ultimately add risks to your business and definitely can add cost. Now, okay, if hauling isn't a good option for you or is no longer a good option for you, you might want to look to do on-site treatment. Let's talk first about aerobic technologies. Aerobic technologies are very good if you have a low to medium strength concentration of organic pollutants in your water. Now, the way that biologically based aerobic technologies work is that you have to grow up organisms. These organisms consume the pollutants in the water. At the same time, they're also respiring air, right? Oxygen that you're pumping into that water. There's a big energy cost associated with delivering that air to the microorganisms. Big energy cost as in several thousand to tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to maintain that aeration capacity to treat your wastewater. So if you have what we call high strength wastewater, which would be organic pollutant concentration, say above 4,000 or 5,000 milligrams per liter, you're right at the threshold of what's practical for an aerobic technology to deal with. Some of them may be able to bump up to 8,000, maybe, depending on the type of wastewater you are. But just beware, the energy cost associated with that can be massive. In addition to the energy cost, you're also going to be looking at the space requirement. You're going to have a lot of pumps and piping and blowers and tanks and treatment vessels associated with hitting your quality metrics. So be prepared for a big project, big footprint, and recurring costs associated with energy specifically, but also some chemical costs, nutrient costs, and sludge disposal costs. Now, if you're generating wastewaters that have an organic pollution content above 5,000 milligrams per liter, certainly up into the 10,000 milligrams per liter concentrations, you definitely want to consider an anaerobic approach. The most conventional technology on the market today available is the anaerobic digester. There's a lot of variations on this theme. It's still a microbial process. This microbial process is really tailored to address those higher concentrations. And instead of respiring oxygen, these organisms that are running this process are now fixing CO2 into methane. Now, this can also be a biogas resource for you if you're looking to offset your energy costs. However, really important to consider what happens in anaerobic digestion is a big footprint. These systems will take a longer period of time. You may still be requiring a post-treatment solution after that anaerobic digestion happens to hit your quality metric. The energy cost certainly will not be as much between anaerobic and aerobic technologies, but your footprint is still going to be huge. So you got to have the space for dealing with these things. In addition, because you are generating an explosive gas, your facility has to be permitted to operate under a Class 1 Div 2 operational permit. So this opens up a whole other requirement for what your facility has to be permitted to be able to do before you can install an anaerobic digester. And also, because you are generating a gas, and gases have a tendency to find their way out of every nook and cranny, you are also going to be contending with leaks, which means you're going to be leaking methane into the atmosphere, and that is ultimately also going to counteract your carbon goals. Lastly, you're going to need a team of people to operate an anaerobic digester or an aerobic process. You need a team of people that's always watching and can respond appropriately so that you don't face production shutdowns. So at Aquacycl, we do things differently. We have an anaerobic approach. However, we don't actually make any biogas. And because our anaerobic approach is very, very high rate, we're actually accomplishing some of the same treatment efficiencies and qualities that you see in an aerobic process, but in a much more compact footprint. The other thing that Aquacycl does differently is that we are an extension of your team. So if we are delivering our technology to your site to address your potential issues, we are the operators. We're the ones watching, we're the ones responding, and we operate under a performance guarantee. So that ensures that you're always within compliance and that you're always meeting your water goals. We also operate with far less energy requirement than anything else on the market. We don't have any forced air into our systems, which means you don't need those big blowers and the additional infrastructure. And because our system is also anaerobic, we generate far less sludge than anything else on the market. So you don't have that additional hauling piece that you're going to have to deal with. If there is any hauling that has to happen, Aquacycl takes care of it, and that's not an extra charge to you. It's already built into the contract. Further, footprint. We can treat a lot of concentration with a very, very small footprint. So if you're space constrained and dealing with some high surcharges or some challenging wastewater discharge issues, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help. And last but not least, Aquacycl does not generate methane, no biogas. So you do not have to be class 1 div 2 to have an Aquacycl system on your site. We're not leaking any methane. And the CO2 that we do produce is 90% less than anything else on the market today. So we're helping you meet your carbon goals. We're ensuring that it's easy for you to operate, not a lot of permitting complexity, and we are an extension of your team to drive success for your business. To learn more about how to compare technologies and contrast for your particular solution, go to our website, download our technology comparison chart. Not every solution is going to be a best fit for every application, so you can use this as a starting point to determine what's best for you. Go to aquacycl.com and learn more.